If your job is just arranging words on a page, you probably have about 2 years left, maybe 1. AI is already better at writing than 90% of people. It's faster, cheaper, and it never gets writer's block. But wait, if AI is so amazing, how come most companies that try to automate their content with AI fail so miserably? All they got was boatloads of AI slop that no one wants to read. And that's exactly what I wanted to figure out. So I invited Neville Medhora on the show. Neville is one of my absolute favorite copywriters, and he's someone I personally learned from back in the day. He also runs a private community of professional copywriters, which gives him a front row seat to the massive disruption ripping through this industry right now. And he has some very sharp and sometimes uncomfortable takes about where everything is headed next. We covered a lot of ground in this episode. Which copywriting tasks no longer need humans? How to use AI to improve and refine your ideas? How to develop your taste and produce better work with AI? And why you should stop thinking like a copywriter and start thinking like an editor. This episode is a much-needed reality check for the entire copywriting industry. So let's get into it, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support the show.
Ahrefs Podcast.
Hey Neville, welcome to the pod.
What's up, man? Good to see you. I got the t-shirt on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for branding a little bit yourself a little bit. So you're one of the top copywriters that I know, and I actually learned a lot from you over the years. Your course is where I picked up my first copywriting knowledge, the first principles of copywriting, which I still apply today. So now, as we know, AI is disrupting the whole industry of copywriting. Like crazy. And when I thought of someone to speak about like what is going to happen to the industry of copywriting, to the profession of copywriter, you were my first choice. So I'm very excited to dive in.
Well, I'm honored to talk about the destruction. Let's get into it. Yeah.
Do you think by the end of this episode, people would be discouraged to pursue the career of copywriting, or would they be excited about all the opportunity that they now have on their hands?
Yeah. So there's 3 levels of copywriting that I assume. Low level copywriting. That's writing like a thank you note for an autoresponder for a doctor's office. Thank you for visiting. Please leave us a review. AI is very good at that. Mid-level copywriting, making some like basic marketing emails and stuff like that. AI is also pretty good at blog posts, things like that. High-level copywriting, not good yet. High-level copywriting would be like Mark Andreessen pontificating on Twitter about different businesses or something. I don't think AI has completely got there and had original thoughts that really catch on, maybe in a few years. But the high-level people, still good. Mid-level people, bad. Low-level people, gone. That's what I've seen. So, I mean, we have a course where we obviously train people to write copy for their own businesses. Now, a lot of people will say, well, can I also sell the skill? I think that's a really, really hard thing to do right now. To just enter the field of copywriting and be like, I will write blog posts for you. That's just not happening at the pace that we've seen. It does happen, but it's really, really truncated now.
Yeah, so this is what I wanted to ask you about. You have a whole community of copywriters. You have a lot of people who took your course, who have jobs in copywriting. And what are you seeing in your community? Like, are people losing jobs? Are people able to do more work and earn more money? So tell me what you're seeing from people from your community.
We were always a community of business owners where people would get help on their marketing emails. So making people get hired for copywriting was never our core thing, but it was about 20-25%. Of course, there was always people that are like, I would like to still just be a copywriter. Those people are essentially gone, I would say. Like low-level copywriters that were going to write blog posts for people. That's essentially I wouldn't say a dead job, because now just one person can handle what, 10, 20 people used to be able to do. And then also writing blog posts in the same capacity as they used to has changed quite rapidly. I will say I've seen something really interesting happen though. My personal consulting has gone really upwards. And it was kind of surprising. And what's happening is companies are going all in AI writing. So AI, all their content, all their emails, all their newsletters. And then in 6 months, they're like, holy shit, this isn't working very well. And it's going downhill. What's happening? And it's like all just kind of like AI, lack of a better term, slop. And so they come to me and they're like, what's going on? How can we fix this? And the answer is they're going back to human. So it's kind of this funny cycle I'm seeing where people are overcorrecting on the abilities of AI, and then they're going back to human. Now they're not going back all human, but they're doing like human computer hybrid. So that's what I'm seeing all over the place. I mean, how many newsletters are you subscribed to that are 100% written by AI? It's probably not a lot, but we're seeing more and more people realize that all AI is not performing very well at the moment, maybe in 2 years.
Interesting. So if all AI isn't performing that well, then people shouldn't be losing jobs, and people should still like make money and be in demand as copywriters.
Well, what there was a big industry of was like people writing low to mid-level blog posts for SEO reasons. Mm-hmm. So there was a whole industry of people that would just write some, supplement or some exercise equipment, and they would just write content about that. AI has completely eliminated the need for that type of thing. AI can do it about as good, if not better, and much faster and cheaper. I mean, those types of jobs are completely gone. And that was a rather large industry. There's big agencies and stuff that this is all they did. And now it's kind of all AI. And then also, if everyone can write the same blog post, there's not much need for the blog post. So I think a lot of the AI results that you get from an LLM are oftentimes better and more tailored to you. So instead of asking like, what type of exercises are good for legs? I can say, I'm a 43-year-old male. I weigh this much pounds. I'm this much body fat. What are the best exercises I could do for my legs in my home gym? And I have this equipment. Why the hell would I read a blog post when I could read that? Right? So what I am seeing coming back though is like personalized old school blog posts that talk about a real life experience. I am seeing this resurgence of like circa 2000 era blog posts that people pay more attention to. Whereas that like totally went away for a while, and everyone was just tailoring their blog posts to be like, what will Google like? They were all doing that. And now I'm seeing this resurgence of kind of like, I don't know, like wait, but why type material where it's like a personalized blog post.
This has always been the root of my skepticism. Whenever people were like screaming on social media, AI is going to take care of all your content marketing needs, and which is why at Ahrefs we never ended up creating like done for you like one button content generation tool, is because this is not something we would need in our content marketing department. Because if all you do is you take 5 to 10 existing articles, you rework them into an article of your own without adding anything. Yeah, there was like an entire industry for that, because then people were spamming those articles with links. Those articles were ranking for a period of time until Google would catch up and ban this website, and people would make money out of it. But at Ahrefs, I wouldn't say 100% of content, but like 90-something% of content has a unique spin on it. Yeah, we would talk about all the same things that other people are talking about, like keyword research, SEO audits, blah, 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 blah. But we would always add our unique perspective, our like unique stories, our unique case studies, the applications of our tool. And I couldn't see how AI could do anything like that. So yeah, taking content from other people and making it your own, yes, but like, what's the point of that? So yeah, I could totally see how this is dying.
I would say
and
that
I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, I started out in the OG like blogging sphere of like 1999, 2000. No one made money at that time online, or not that I was aware of. And so everyone just wrote from the bottom because they loved it. There was no use case for it. They just did it because they liked it. And so I would document experiments that I did in the real world. And that's how I initially got some traction. And I think that's going to come back in a big way, because let's say 5 years ago, I would write, or let's say 10 years ago, I would write a post called How to Become a Copywriter, right? That was like just a big term. I'd use the Ahrefs tool, keyword research. What's the biggest copywriting term? How to become a copywriter. Always the number one, right? So I never wanted to try to tell people to become a copywriter. And my SEO guy was just like, then just say that. I was like, oh yeah, I could just write an article with this spin of like, you should not become a copywriter unless you meet these very specific requirements. Sure enough, that was like a SEO research blog post, but had a very unique spin on it of like, you shouldn't do this. This is a bad idea for most people. And so that ranked very well because I followed the technique. I had a different spin on it. But nowadays, I don't know if I would write something about how to become a copywriter. I would probably take a story about someone became a copywriter and made a bunch of money, or how I did it, or how I went and wanted to write articles about copywriting. I wanted to research billboards and went out and bought a billboard and show how I made a billboard. That is an interesting thing that can't be replicated by AI. So it's kind of like, if you're just giving how-to content that AI can do, I mean, I think you're kind of toast, unless you have very unique spins on it. But it's going to be harder and harder to compete on that. Now I think everyone is going for, let's put out content. So ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., recommend me. And we are seeing ChatGPT, Gemini, basically all LLM traffic is like the best traffic. It's on par with YouTube traffic. So when someone watches your YouTube video, clicks your link, very, very high engagement, very high on-page time. ChatGPT is giving that kind of traffic. So that's mainly what I'm hoping for. Now, obviously, I'd like to be at the top of Google, but I'd rather be recommended by an LLM for someone searching something.
Okay, so here's where we have just arrived with our conversation. The low-level work, like rewriting someone else's article to put it on your website, AI can do it very well, so you don't need a human, but it's also not a very effective strategy because people don't want to read this slop, and Google doesn't really rank this slop unless, of course, you spam it with backlinks. But you're saying that AI is very useful for high-level copywriting. Is that so?
No. It's useful for low-level because it could just do it. It could do all of it 100%
so someone
well.
like yourself, who you probably consider yourself a high-level copywriter, is that so?
I hope so, yeah.
Okay, so how are you using AI? What are the practical applications of how AI is helping someone like you?
Imagery. So Grok, I use Grok a lot because it's just like completely unrestricted. I could take a photo of you and make something. ChatGPT is slow and just has all these content filters on them. And then I also do research with it. So when I'm writing something, one of the hardest parts of writing an article is finding examples. And that used to take me the longest. Actually, writing an article, writing an email, writing a newsletter, not that hard for me. However, researching examples has always been the hard part. So then when I'd find an example, I'd maybe want to make a graph or an image. So this is where AI really, really helps. So I can say, find me 10 examples of copywriters who make over $1 million. And it'll list them all out. Then I say, okay, how much money did they make and what was their biggest campaign? Then list them all out. I say, shorten all of these to 10 bullet points. List them all out. Then I take the top 5. Bam, that goes in my article that I was writing about how AI is disrupting the copywriting industry. So that research is very helpful. Now, is that AI content? I mean, to some degree, it helps me research it, but it's still me putting that in there and then cutting out all the fat. So I think it's super, super helpful for that. The images stuff is just starting to get good to where it's like production level. I haven't found that to be the case within the last 3 months, but now at Nano Banana 2 and some of these newer ones, we're getting some really, really good results. So imagery is also a really big thing. So I've always said every copywriter should know how to make images. And that was the biggest hurdle that most of the people had. They didn't know how to use Photoshop. They didn't want to use Canva, or they made like bullshit B2B looking Canva template type stuff, but they couldn't make their own style. And now with AI, that's rapidly, rapidly changing.
You mentioned that you have some simple workflows with AI that work really well.
Yeah.
What are these workflows?
So let's say I want to make like an
Is there
essay
something you can show like by screen sharing?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So here is a way. So this is like the world's easiest thing. I tried to make it really simple. I made a complicated one first. Let's say I want to make an essay on something. The way that I would do it is I would voice Ramble, ChatGPT prompt I'll show you, and then Grok for pics and GIFs. So for example, I made an example over here. So if I want to make a quick essay, so I want to make an essay. I heard Elon Musk talking about universal abundance. And I was just like, oh, that sounds stupid. That's just a way to like, people are going to like lose their jobs. And then he's just saying that universal abundance. The more I thought about it, the more this made sense. So I wanted to write a quick little essay on it. Now, there's not a real business case for me to make this essay, so I didn't want to spend a lot of time. So here's what I did. Instead of just saying, make me an article about universal abundance, the problem is it writes something, but it's kind of like lame. Like it just doesn't hit. And so what I do is I voice Ramble it. And then I tell ChatGPT, I'm going to talk about a concept and just ramble. Make me a properly formatted essay out of this, but don't change my words up too much. Just add proper formatting and bullet points where needed. So that's the key. If you tell it to rewrite your old essay, it writes it in AI voice. If you say don't change it up, just add proper formatting, then it writes it like you. So I rambled my notes onto it, and this is just like a long thing over here. And it doesn't matter. I just basically said like universal abundance is this, right? And then I actually had Grok make me videos, which I converted to GIFs. And then the end result was something like this. It was an essay that I put in my newsletter. It says, it's possible tech creates universal abundance. It's not that crazy. And then this is all stuff I literally said. So this is actually my voice. And ChatGPT just kind of put the spaces and the gaps and the periods and the colons and the bullet points. And then everything was backed up with a GIF. So now I made a custom GIF for each one. So I was talking about how, you could have a plumber come and there's like a little robot doing the plumbing and it looks like a professional type thing. So now I made this entire post complete with GIFs, imagery, and everything. And I did this in about 10 minutes. Whereas writing out this entire thing would have taken me several hours. Making those GIFs in their current form, that was just like literally impossible like a year ago. And now these totally go with the story. So I'm talking about a house cleaner robot and it's showing a house cleaner robot cleaning the whole house. And so this is going very, very quickly. For me to get this thought across went very quickly. It's still my words. So I would say it's voice ramble, tell ChatGPT, just clean this up for me, and then Grok for pics and GIFs. I sometimes use ChatGPT for pics and GIFs, but I have found it's just slow and not as good just yet.
Okay, my first question is, that was literally the prompt, the one that you showed on the screen. So that's it. You didn't give any other instructions, because I see like people, for example, on LinkedIn, when they say like comment prompt to get my like incredible prompt, and it would look almost like code. It would be big. It would have lots of instructions, and yours is just asking it like structure it a little bit.
Don't insert your opinion. This is mine. You just clean up. You just like a grammar robot. That's all you are.
Yeah.
And so I actually tell it don't change up much. I have found that with prompting, with every successive LLM that's come out, you need to prompt less and less and less. As the AI gets smarter and smarter, it knows what you're talking about. So when you're talking about the ChatGPT, before ChatGPT, it was just like an API, you had to prompt it like crazy. And there's all these knobs and stuff you could twist, intensity, token limit. That's all just kind of gone. And I actually assume a lot of the people talking about prompting very heavily, that will probably kind of pull back. It'll just understand what you need. So I don't use very long prompts generally.
I have two things to say here. First of all, I heard somewhere that AI works best with examples rather than instructions. And when we tested this internally, so we did like a bunch of internal tests with like blog articles, social media updates and such. And we tried doing two versions. One version is where we would do detailed instructions like on what our voice is, how we structure our posts, blah, blah, blah. And in another version, we would just say like, write me a social media post out of this draft. Here are like 5 to 10 examples of the previous social media posts that we published. Use them as like a guide for voice and style. And what we saw is that, really just giving it a few examples works a lot better than giving it instructions. And to your point about prompting becoming less and less valuable, I think I was listening to an interview with the founder of Perplexity. And what he was saying is that, for all these AI chatbots, they have this goal of kind of democratizing outputs. So if you and me kind of prompt the same thing, but I'm using a sophisticated prompt because I am like a prompt engineer and all stuff, and you're a regular user who just asks AI to do something as if you're asking a person who kind of knows what to do, their goal is to make the outputs that me and you get more or less the same. So on the back end, they are trying to improve your prompt, even if it is very, very simple. So this kind of checks out with what you're saying about sophisticated prompts not being needed, but I was surprised that you didn't even give it examples, because it seems that for us examples work to kind of improve on the style and how we typically write.
Well, actually, you are a unique case that you've put out a lot of content with Ahrefs over the years. So if you actually said, write like Tim Solo from Ahrefs, I think it would do a pretty good job. So actually, I like doing this a lot. Like I think my buddy Sam Parr is one of the best copywriters I know, despite he's not a copywriter, he's a business owner. But I'll say write like Sam Parr, or I'll say write like Neville Medhora. And it does a pretty good job. Sometimes it gets a little over crazy. But as the LLMs get better and better, like that craziness part where it just like acts too whimsical or something, it goes away. And then if something's too whimsical, like if it's like, yo, what's up, man? How's it going? I just say, don't be stupid. Like, don't make it less stupid like that. And then it just removes it. I mean, so the prompting thing, I think, is almost kind of a waste of time. Whereas it's easier for me to just write a really short prompt, see what it puts out, and then modify it from there. That's what I found. And honestly, I personally like voice rambling because I can speak really quickly, I think. And so I can voice ramble and then it will clean it up for me. And that, to me, has been the best way to make it sound like me, but just be able to use my voice.
So with that whimsical example, what I'm hearing is that this process for you, it's not like a one-shot thing where you would voice ramble, then you would add this prompt, it would generate an article, and that's it. But it's a like back and forth process where you would actually read the output and you would give it a few extra instructions if you think that it didn't get where you wanted it to be. Is that so?
Yeah, yes and no. Yes, that's pretty much the way I do it. And it's back and forth just a few times. Like, it's not a lot. It's 2, 3, maybe, you know? And then here's the other thing. Almost all the time that I've noticed, you're not taking the entire text or copy and using it. It's almost always, I'm just using parts of it. So it's more like it made me this big paragraph of text or this long page of text, and I pick and choose all the good stuff and I throw away the bad stuff. Just the stuff that like doesn't sound like me, or I'm just like, you know, ChatGPT, you could tell it's ChatGPT sometimes because it's like you're reading several paragraphs, but you're just like, what? But I mean, it doesn't say a lot, but it's saying things. I just try to get rid of all that. I'm like, how can I just shorten the hell out of this? And so for the most part, I'm actually just using it in a separate window and taking and stealing parts of it rather than like taking the whole output. In fact, I can't remember a time in recent history where I've taken the entire output and used it. I don't know about you, but I rarely get exactly what I want.
Yeah. Same thing with me. I mostly use AI to help me write my posts on LinkedIn. And yeah, I would just throw in my draft and I have some instructions of what I want to achieve. But then when I see outputs, I don't just copy paste it as is. I use like bits and paragraphs and pieces just like you do. So again, the way I see it is that it's more of an editorial process between you and AI rather than one-shot automation where you would use those like AI agents and A10 where you would just, I don't know, make a voice note on your phone and then without looking, it's going to be sent to your email subscribers because it went through like a series of, I don't know, editing, proofreading, blah, 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 editing agent, proofreading agent, images creation agent, and then newsletter agent who would send it. So for you, it's still quite manual.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is going to follow the arc of like Tesla self-driving. I don't know if you've ever been in a self-driving car, but you know, a couple years ago they sucked. And now in Austin, there's Waymos everywhere and everyone's just getting comfortable with them. Tesla's getting better and better. Most of the time I drive my car, I just let it drive itself and I don't pay attention. But it used to be this like human hybrid with machine type thing. And then it went full machine basically. And I imagine content will move in that direction. I cannot see a world where the AI is not better than most people at writing. So at the moment, we are this stage in our economy, we are at this level where it's like AI, the full AI output is not good enough yet. And still like a really good human can do better. But I don't see that being the case in like 3 to 5 years. I can't see the case. I think we're going to start using the full output more and more. So like I said, for low level copy, it's totally okay to use whatever the LLM says. It's going to make great copy. For mid level, half and half, it's pretty good. And then high level, really not there yet. But I think it's going to keep eating its way up the ladder.
Okay, quick question about the voice Ramble. Do you just ramble to ChatGPT directly, or do you use some transcribing software or something?
ChatGPT directly. I like theirs the best. I also use Apple's, but I don't think it's as good as ChatGPT's. And then I also use Whisperflow, but not for really long rambles generally. I generally just in the ChatGPT or Grok prompts, I use theirs directly.
Do you have any other workflows for me?
I don't have too many other workflows because that's about it. When I was coming up, I know previously you asked me like, what are some workflows? I was like, I think that's it. So I'll just describe something, and then the imagery I will use quite a bit. But I don't think there's
let's talk about the imagery real quick, because you have this step Grok for pics and GIFs. How exactly does it work? Do you put the entire article into Grok and you tell it generate GIFs where appropriate, or like what's the process?
No, the way I found is generally, so let's say I'm talking about a section over here about plumbing, right? I literally just say, make a picture of a robot doing some plumbing. That's it. And what I like about Grok specifically is that it comes up with lots of different ideas. So ChatGPT for an image, it'll just come up with like an image, maybe 2. Grok will come up with a main one and then like 10 other ones. And then you could pick from that and generate that video. And then I can either use a clip of that, just an image, or a GIF. And I personally like using GIFs. I think it's just a little bit more interesting.
So again, it's a manual process. You're reading through the article and you're deciding where you want to put a GIF. And then you prompt to Grok that you want a GIF of this. And then it gives you back the GIF. And you also might decide, okay, I don't think this is something I want to use, or this looks like something that I want to put into my article.
Yes. So there still is some manual curation going on there. I have not found anything that takes the entire article and makes the images very well. It can do it, but I feel like with the image generation stuff is very young. I think it's like legitimately in production ready form in the last 6 months, honestly. So I think it's going to take another year to get there. But at the moment, I have not found anything that'll just make all the perfect images or GIFs for me. But I will tell it, like, this section is about cleaning household. So I say, make some Tesla bots cleaning a house. And then it does it. And then it makes a bunch of different versions. So sometimes it'll show one that's not very good, and then it'll show a bunch more. And then there's one down the list that I'm like, ooh, that's perfect. I click that one and it generates it. Here's another interesting thing. So, I had a copywriting course, right? That was like the main business. And so that's where there's like 1,000 members and they'd sign up and we'd rewrite stuff for them, etc. And then I always had this thing called Swipe File, which was basically a side project where I collected cool marketing. So I see a cool page, I see the Ahrefs homepage, and they redesigned it. And I go, that's a cool page. I save it, right? That's pretty much all it was. Just a little side project I used for like consulting clients. Enter AI. And the problem I always had with Swipe Files was there was not enough time to like analyze what worked, pull out the headline, transcribe the copy, do all that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? AI is great at that. And it keeps getting better. And some of the recent models in the last like couple of months are so good that the analysis that it did is better than mine. And here's the thing. If you give me an hour to write an analysis of a post, I could probably do a better job than the AI. I could probably do a better job. However, I'm putting out 3 to 5 posts per day on there. So I just don't have the literal time to analyze the posts. And so from there, we actually have a lot of workflows where we have it analyze this picture, and based on the tags that I put it knows that it's an ad. It knows that it's a print ad. We even have a workflow where I can put in something that I find interesting about the ad, and it'll incorporate that into the output. So with something like Swipe File, we actually have a lot of different workflows, but those are so like customized to our use case that it's not really useful to most people.
So you mentioned something to me about your copywriting course, which you kind of said just now. The overall reason for copywriting course to exist will be mostly irrelevant because of AI. So do you think people no longer need to learn and understand copywriting?
Well, if there's like a plumber that's trying to advertise his plumbing services, like, is it really useful for him to learn the art of copywriting? Or if he just had a machine that did it for him and he could just do a lot of plumbing work, that makes more sense. So I think a lot less people will need to learn really good copywriting when you have this machine that could say, hey, write like a really good copywriter. What would they say? And it outputs stuff. And it gets them 80% there, right? Like right away. So instead of hiring an expensive copywriter, I'd say a lot of people now all of a sudden have this ability that they just didn't have before. I mean, just 5 years ago, before AI copywriting was out, people would come to our community and they'd be like, I want to write a blog post. I literally just don't know what to start with. They'd have like writer's block. They didn't know what to write. They didn't know how to approach it. Now what they do is they come to ChatGPT, say the same thing. It writes them something. They go, make it funnier. And it writes it and they go, ooh, that's a good article. And they have pretty much a product that they like right away. So it's almost like bypassed that whole step of like having a high-end copywriter. You could just kind of get like 80% to what they're doing almost right away. So I would say for a lot of people in the economy, I don't think it makes sense for them to have to learn copywriting. I don't think it makes sense for a lot of people to learn coding to make their own tools. I'd rather just use Google Docs and Google somehow codes all this stuff. It doesn't make sense for me to learn all this to make it for myself. So I think that will happen with a lot of marketing.
You said something interesting. You said that the person would prompt AI, it would generate an article. The person wouldn't like it, would say, make it funnier. And then suddenly they think it's a good article.
Yeah.
So no, like the reason I'm going through this example is because good article is subjective to the person reading this article. And we're coming to the concept of taste. So do you have the right taste to be able to tell when the article is really good? Because what's good for you might not be good for other people. This is where kind of the value of professional copywriter shines, because a professional copywriter has seen a lot. They have a lot of experience. They have a lot of knowledge. They can tell good copy from bad copy. While if like an average, plumber with a plumbing business would be using AI, anything would be good enough for them. And as we know, AI tends to create statistically average anything. This is just by design, which means that all plumbing businesses, should they start using AI for their website copy, for their services copy, they would sound more or less the same. And I think the job of the copywriter is not just put words in the right order or make it funny or something, is to understand the business, understand the customer, and be able to talk to your potential customer in a way and resonate with them in a way where the person would choose you. They would feel that, okay, this is the person or this is the business I want to work with. While AI doesn't have all this context. So what do you think about this?
When's the last time that you read a lot of articles, blog posts, and content from your plumber? Right. I mean,
yeah.
When I hire a plumber, I had a Japanese toilet installed, hired a plumber. I didn't read any articles about them. I just looked at the ratings. I looked at how many jobs he's done in that area, and then I hired him and the price. Yeah, I mean,
okay, then why are we talking about people who don't need content in the first place? Let's talk about people who do need content and for whom content really does make a difference. Let's talk about these kinds of businesses.
I honestly think for a lot of people, especially a lot of local businesses, a lot of times just like a simple Instagram account, I'd say is better than them going down the whole thing of like getting a website and putting content out. I think in the past that may have been good, but I think for a lot of people, they don't need all that.
Let's talk about content. Businesses who depend on content. Let's talk about these businesses. If we're talking about a software company.
Okay, so a software company, in the past, what they would do, let's say even 5 years ago, what they would do is they would say, how scheduling software can help you. And they would make a lot of content and they have a blog that's pumping out different scheduling software. Let's say a company like Calendly, right? Instead now, I think what they're going to do is rather showcase cases where Calendly has saved people a lot of time, saved companies a lot of time, or enabled like a consulting business with paid Calendly things. Showcasing those results is probably what they're going to do. They're probably not going to make a lot of how-to content anymore. I would say that that's going to start going away. Whereas every single software company, and you've seen this like a couple of years ago, they were just like making how-to content about their industry, hoping to get ranked for those keywords. And I think you'll see less and less of that and more results more case studies, more actual pictures, showcasing like you did a conference. Instead of another article about like how to rank in SEO, what if you talked about the Ahrefs conference and did a personal blog post about that? I think those things are going to be a little bit more stand out over time rather than a lot of how-to kind of stuff. So this brings me to a point that I was talking about when you said funny. This brings me to another point. I think having a specific style, a specific angle, like a quirky style, weird kind of hand-drawn is going to come back into style. Because now it's so much content on the internet, people can't tell like if you wrote it or if AI wrote it. It's getting harder and harder. So I think if you have like a hand-drawn style, like I mentioned, Wait But Why, Copywriting Course, we use like pretty much all like hand drawings that look really crappy, or a site like PostHog where they have funny like imagery. They're an analytics company, but they have funny imagery. Memelord.com is just like a hilarious looking website. It's just so like different that it stands out. You can tell like AI did not create this. I think that's going to make a big comeback. Like people having a specific style of something. I don't know if you agree with that, but I do think
I don't.
Those are the types of things that you don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't agree with that because this is again easy to emulate. You just tell AI, give me those sticky figures, like you're putting the GIFs in your articles. Those GIFs are not unique to you. I can go and prompt Grok and have the same GIFs, and our content suddenly looks identical. Wait, but why? Yeah, he was using those sticky figures. But that's because, he was drawing them himself. I remember back in the day when I wanted to create some kind of comic strips for my articles, I had to go on Fiverr and look for someone who would have the style that I want to have. And then again, this is a person who has the style that I want to have. At Ahrefs, we were developing our own distinct style, which is now we're talking about branding. So that's a different story. And I don't think that putting any style of image into your blog articles with AI is going to differentiate you. Yeah, of course, you can have like an art director in your company who would develop a style unique to you. And when people would copy this style, it would look like, oh, this is Ahrefs style. If you would be able to popularize it a lot. But I don't think that would necessarily make your content stand out because anything would be easily emulated with AI. So yeah, the only thing that I feel would make your content stand out is something that we started from. It's the actual ideas and unique experiences, and a human behind the content is the only thing that would help you stand out.
The thing I don't agree about it that is that have you tried to emulate Wait But Why stick figures using AI?
Yeah,
it does We're not there yet.
Yes.
So I do think that. The other thing is, I know people can copy it, but I think having like a unique style that people know, like that's you, like that's you.
But he's not using AI. That's the thing. He's not using AI for his images. This is why you cannot copy them.
Let me give you an example. So this is a daily Stoic writing and selling guide for email. Now, this is all actually AI imagery, as you could probably tell, but it's kind of prompted to look like a certain way. Right?
Yeah.
So all great leaders are salesmen. We kind of like prompted that kind of stuff. And I told it to have like a stippling pen style and use this like Stoic characters, right? So this is a fight, slide them down the slippery slope. And then there's this funny thing of a guy sliding down a slippery slope in his full like, Roman outfit or whatever. So this is the type of thing where it's like, this still has like a vibe, right? So that's what I mean. Now this is all technically made with AI, but it still has a vibe. So that's the type of thing I'm talking about that I think will come back into style. I don't think it ever went out of style, but people were more focused on how can I gain Google to show up at the top of the results. Now I think people are more want you to actually read their stuff. And I think it's just going to be harder and harder to get attention by making regular how-to articles, and having some sort of style like this, I think will be helpful in the future. I think. I mean, I could be totally wrong on that.
Okay, let's try talking about repurposing, because so far it seems that AI isn't helping you to generate anything of substance. You even mentioned that a lot of companies are going full AI and then coming back to you because it doesn't work, and you need to infuse some human, some uniqueness and originality into your content. What about repurposing, which is the number one thing that everyone wants to automate. I don't know, we record this podcast episode with you, and then I want to publish 5 blog articles, 5 social posts, blah, 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 and I want it all automated. I don't want to touch anything. Content has to be just released for me on autopilot.
Yeah. So here's for example. So swipe file is where we're using all the AI stuff. So copywriting course, we actually try to avoid a lot of the AI. We found it to be a little bit more problematic. Swipe file is like all AI first. So for example, if I'm collecting all these, this is a chart I collected. And what we have is there's an AI analysis of the chart. And honestly, it's really good. I mean, it's like literally better than a human can do. It also pulls real world examples using the same concepts. And then over here, I have this creative variation thing where it'll redo this chart. So this is the original that I took, and it'll redo as a hand-drawn thing. It'll redo it as a funny style. It'll redo it as annotated sketchbook style. And so we can do this on all of these different things. So I could take this VW bug ad and repurpose it hand-drawn, 1950s ad, futuristic ad, funny ad, all that kind of stuff. So that's where we're using repurposing quite a bit. And the next step that we're doing on here is how can we repurpose these ads for your business, right? So if you have a business, it'll just show up as an ad and you can go, ooh, that's a cool ad. So I think taking an idea from somewhere else, like this VW bug ad, and then saying, how do we apply it to Ahrefs? Now, here's the thing. A lot of times it's not going to work. Taking an Ahrefs ad or VW bug ad and then turning it into an Ahrefs ad sometimes will be like, whatever. But the point is, if you see a bunch of them, you'll get some ideas of like, oh, that's the angle I want to go for. So I think repurposing is going to be really cool when it's kind of automated like that. Like everything you see, just be like, make it for my business, make it for my business, make it for my business. And you'll get ideas through that. So we do that on Swipe File already, and it gives people a lot of cool ideas. So repurposing will get really strong when it's just like instant and everywhere. Right now, you have to like go to ChatGPT, go to Grok, type it in, upload the thing, wait for an image. That's, I think, a very slow process. As this gets faster and faster, that's when you'll see the real power of repurposing. So if I can look at someone's email, if I could just like open my Gmail in a tab and then in another tab over, it'd be like, here's how you can use this same email in your own business, and it rewrites it right away. And you go, ooh, that's a good angle. I think that's where repurposing would be super, super awesome. Right now, it's a slow.
I think we're conflating the terms repurposing and copying. So I'm a big fan of copying.
Well, it's similar.
Let's agree on the definition. So here's the definition for me. Copying is when you see someone do something cool, and you see a way to apply it to your own business. Like you said, this Volkswagen bus won't really do much for Ahrefs, and I don't see the way to copy this ad for Ahrefs because we're not a car company. But maybe some underlying, angle or twist in a copy that can help me come up with a tagline for our own products and services. So this is what copying. And like you said, it is very dependent on the decision of a person who is responsible for it. I don't think AI can just take all your library of swipe files and give me 5 great examples that would apply to Ahrefs. I think it can help me potentially make a decision, but not necessarily make a decision for me where I wouldn't need to approve it. When I'm talking about repurposing, though, is when you already have something at your company, whether it's a blog article, whether it's a YouTube video, a podcast interview, a social media update, and you want to transfer it to some other format. Oh, you actually applied Ahrefs to one of the Volkswagen.
So I actually disagree, because when we use this internally at SwipeFile, when you click through everything, you see all these repurposed things, and it starts giving you ideas. So for example, we took this 1950s VW bus ad, box yourself in. Okay. Who cares what the copy says? You said it can't be turned into Ahrefs. Here's one shot nano banana, that says completely redo this, promote Ahrefs, be unique. That's what I wrote. So that was the prompt right here. And this is what it came out with. So Ahrefs is a bus, and it says unbox your SEO potential. Now, and then it rewrote the copy. Ahrefs looks like a data box because it's built like a data box. Whatever. Like, we won't go into it. But the point is, this completely prodded our thought process into a whole different thing. Now, imagine I go on Swipe File and I look at, this Guinness ad. Opening time is Guinness time. What if we do the same thing, but for this? So if you see that, then you go, oh, that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing. That's a cool thing. I think that's where repurposing gets really good, because you can go, okay, this VW bus ad, like, it's neat. But we like unbox your SEO potential. And then right now it's about Christmas time. So I'd be like, ooh, unbox SEO, unbox Ahrefs, and then come up with some imagery for unboxing for a Christmas sale, whatever. I think that's where it's really good. It starts giving you ideas. So here's another example I'll give you right now. So let's take this toucan ad right here and make it Ahrefsy. So ranking time is Ahrefs time. So not the greatest one in the world, but the point is, like, that's a very eye-catching ad. He has a server in his beak and a dashboard in his palm. And it's like, so like, I can imagine this being like, it's time to rank. And then, like, whatever, like, you see where I'm going with it. Like, I see your eyes light up a little bit. So you are getting ideas as we are repurposing some of this stuff. Yeah. But what I'm telling you is the reason it doesn't work well is because you have to, like, go in, prompt it, blah, blah, blah. When this becomes, like, so easy to do, like, if someone develops a plugin that everything's just repurposed in the sidebar, that could be something very interesting for coming up with ideas.
Yeah, I see this as the speed of ideation process. So previously I would, for example, with something like your swipe file library, or I'm sure like a lot of marketing professionals have their own personal library of something they enjoyed seeing. I screenshot stuff all the time and make notes for myself all the time. So yeah, the speed of ideation, where you just throw something into AI, give it a bit of context about your business, and tell it, like, repurpose it or copy it to my business, or what kind of ideas do you have to use something like that for my business. And yeah, it's much easier to do than trying to come up with all the variations yourself. It takes a lot of brain power to come up with those unique angles. But yeah, if you use AI, it would quickly generate different variations for you, and maybe you will see that there is something in the angle where AI is going with this. This kind of reminds me of creative process in design agencies, where there is an art director and there's a bunch of designers, and art director explains, so we have this company, they want to rebrand, and this is like what their values are, this is what they stand for, give me a new logo. And a bunch of designers would go and generate a lot of versions of the logos. They would come back to the art director. He would look, or she would look at a dozen different variations, all in different styles, and would say, I see this as a promising direction. Let's work on only this direction. And they would point at a certain logo, and then designers would go and make variations in this very style. So I see this as you are being an art director, you're being a manager, and you have kind of junior employees who are working very fast and who can generate lots of ideas for you. And then you see if any of those ideas are promising, and you take an interesting, and you try to develop those ideas into something that would actually work.
Yeah. So here's like another example. I took this image of a pilot, and it says how to fly. Kind of funny, whatever. How do you turn that into Ahrefs? So I thought this was kind of funny. How to rank, The point is, of all these images that we're doing, they're not all going to be winners, but it starts to get you thinking. So instead of this whole process of art director, junior employee, the guy fires up Photoshop, that's all gone. Like, you imagine that every image you see on the internet was just repurposed to Ahrefs. That would be really, really helpful for you to, like, come up with ideas, right? And thinking about it, what is coming up with ideas? Why did marketers have swipe files in the first place? They would have a whole folder full of just ads, and they go, oh, that's a cool way that he's selling those blue blocker sunglasses, by holding it up to someone's eyes, and someone's like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. like that invoking that curiosity of what it would look like to look through those glasses. And so you say, oh, I can sell my product like that, So that's what a swipe file was. But now AI is just letting you see the end result right away. And then not only just one end result, but multiple versions of it. So that's why I think that's going to be a very, very powerful thing that's coming in the near future. Right now, it's just cumbersome to put everything through ChatGPT and stuff, but like this will be a solved problem very shortly.
Speaking of ideation, you just suggested to ideate the overall concepts where you throw something in and you ask AI to modify it for your case. What about kind of the micromanaging ideation, so to say? For example, every copywriter would know that title is the most important thing ever, especially on YouTube. If you don't get the click with your title and the text on your thumbnail, everything else you do in the video doesn't make sense. So titles are uber important. And you can ask AI, generate me 10 titles, and you can ask it, add as a professional copywriter, apply different copywriting principles to each title, and it would generate a ton of titles for you. Then you have, opening. For videos, it would be the first 30 seconds. For an article, it would be the first few paragraphs. Then closing, then again to structure an article in a way. So where else would you use this ideation? Do you spend time going back and forth with AI on your titles, on your email subjects, on your email openings, this kind of stuff?
AI knows me well enough that it knows I want multiple titles. So it'll just write multiple titles out for me at this point. So it's very customized. But yes, I will tell the computer to make me 4 different versions of something. Or make me a bunch of titles. And then I'll see something in the title that's cool and pick and choose what I like from there. It's really not that complex of a process. So just like with images, I will do that with headlines as well. But I will say, you can now just tell it, make me a headline and image that's really grabbing and make 4 different versions of it. And it does both at the same time. Now, where the human comes in is it's like, okay, it can write you a bunch of headlines, but like, what is the essence of what we're trying to get at, right? So I think there is some taste type of thing, but yes, AI can make you tons and tons of headlines, and it's fantastic.
Okay, let me throw you kind of a curveball, because everything that we just discussed and all the processes that you showed me are very manual. You're essentially using AI as your sparring partner, as your ideation partner, or as your kind of junior employee. When you said about research, you don't want to do research manually. This is something that, intern can do, but it would take them, 20 hours. AI can do it in 10 minutes. But it all feels very manual. So at every step of the process, you're there. You're checking titles, you're throwing ideas, and you're checking the validity of these ideas. You're rambling to AI, and you're checking if the article is up to your standards, and you pick and choose different aspects of this article. Yeah, I can see how you yourself are a lot more productive, how you're able to generate a lot more ideas and therefore work with a lot more companies, because you don't have to use that much brain power to generate something interesting for all of them. But I don't see much automation. And all the hype that I'm seeing, on LinkedIn, on X, and all these companies that are getting millions and millions of investment is about automation. Put your content marketing on autopilot. Let AI guide your content strategy, auto-publish stuff on your blog, turn you into a media company, things like that. Where, like I said, you don't just ramble into ChatGPT and then you keep working with it to produce something of substance. No, you take a sales call and you have 5 articles published on your blog. So what do you think about all this industry that promises to automate all of that for you?
I think it's like the internet in the year 2000. They were right, but they were too early. I think that's what's happening. So like, will this get there in 10 years? I mean, I have to say, like, almost no doubt in my mind that what you described will be real. At the moment, in practice, when you use this stuff, it doesn't work very well. And I'm not seeing a lot of companies that are like, have totally outsourced their marketing and it's like going great. I just don't see that often. So the people that are making the money are the ones selling the tools. I don't see a lot of that marketing working very well. And I think it'll start working less well over time as everyone starts buying those tools and using them and using those same strategies. So the people that it is doing well for are maybe early adopters, but I think that's just going to start trending downwards. But I've not personally seen anything that completely redoes your marketing, all automated, that is doing well. I just don't see it. I would love to, but I just don't personally see it. Have you?
I don't see it as well. This is why I'm asking you. And what you're saying really resonates with me. It's how we use AI at Ahrefs. We didn't find a way to completely automate stuff. It's all very manual, and we use AI as a sparring partner. We use AI to generate ideas. But given your experience, given your knowledge, given your background, you're a professional copywriter, as we established, and you're saying that these systems get better and better, then less and less of you is going to be needed to be overlooking all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Do you feel threatened? Where do you see yourself and your skill set and your knowledge and your experience in 3 to 5 years?
Oh, massive. I mean, massive shift. Generally, these shifts are slower than you expect. So you have a couple of years to adjust to it. But for example, Copywriting Course, a large contingency of people were coming in to write blog posts and things like that, newsletters. And now those people are just gone. There's no reason for them to really write a blog post or ask for help with it. That's just gone. So AI has ticked off a lot of those boxes. So I mentioned before, Copywriting Course, the fundamental premise of Copywriting Course was like people will come to Neville or our writers for help with writing their stuff. That fundamentally will probably just get eliminated at some point in the very near future. Whereas a project like Sweatfile that was originally just like a blog where I stored random examples will become much bigger and can become the main business. So I actually see that shift happening already as Sweatfile is taking off and Copywriting Course will stagnate and fall. And AI will start to take off. It's like, okay, he can write good blog posts, but now I can do that for you. He can write good emails, but now I can do that for you. He used to be able to tell you how to write a newsletter. I could just write 10 different types of newsletters for you. And those models get better and better. That will start ticking off all those things that we used to do at Copywriting Course and then I used to do. And then Sweatfile will be enabled with like thousands of things we collect and via like my sense of taste, I guess. And then we get, every time we want to add like a remixed image, like I showed you over there, let's say we want to remix this. We add all these different types of things. I could just keep adding these endlessly. And then as, Nano Banana 5 will come out or whatever, we could just redo all of these on the entire site, making the entire site better. And then as ChatGPT 19 comes out, we can have it analyze all of this much better. So I actually think the projects that I'm going to be working on will probably shift significantly with copywriting, going all AI. However, I am seeing just in my personal consulting, more and more people coming back to like writing by hand. I'm just seeing it. It's like the way to stand out at the moment. So when you're saying, do I think that will be forever? I don't know, but I am seeing a lot of companies pull back on the AI content because they're sold this dream of like all AI content. Look how fast you could do it. But then the results just aren't there. So I'd be very curious as everyone has this capability to just put out AI content. Like, what's going to make you stand out? I'm not sure. If you're just putting out content for content's sake, I don't think you have a good chance. There has to be something behind it that's different.
Neville, I think we've covered a lot. Thanks a lot for coming to Ahrefs podcast and sharing your perspective of what AI is doing to copywriting industry.
No, appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.